Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Spinster Stories, where I spin yarn and tell you spooky stories. Today, I am still spinning that orange merino from last time. Hopefully, I should be able to have all this wool spun up and be able to show you a finished yarn in the next episode. Today's story is going to take us all the way to Burari, India, where a family of 11 was all found dead in their home. To start, we're going to take it all the way back to 2007, where this family was a 3-generation family. They all lived together in one house. They ran a grocery store and a plywood store. It was all right next to the house and kind of in the house. It was all just in the same area. And the father, head of the household, Grandpa Bhopal, ended up passing away. And his son, Lalit, took it kind of hard. He ended up kind of introverting, cutting himself off from the rest of the family for a little bit. And when he decided to come back and be a part of the family again, he had told everyone that his father, Gopal, had possessed him and was giving him instructions to lead the family into the next level of enlightenment that they needed to reach. And the family all ended up in a sort of shared psychotic delusion, and they believed him. And 2 of the women in the family, Priyanka and Neetu, kept diaries of everything that Lalit told them that was coming from his father, about instructions on things they needed to do, different rituals they had to perform. And it started getting a little weird. They kind of, mostly kept to themselves, didn't really tell anybody else what was going on. They were the only ones that knew about the possession. And so nobody was really aware of what was going on. They had some neighbors that Lalit would walk with in the day. They would go on their little daily walks. And that brings us to July 1st in the morning of 2018, when the family, their neighbor, went out to go do the daily walk, and they weren't out there. And was like, that's a little weird. So he went to the house, where he saw that there was a delivery of milk for the grocery store that they ran that hadn't been brought in yet. And we thought, that's a little weird. It was about 7 in the morning. Usually they opened their store between 5 a.m. and 5:30. So they were running late. And he thought, that's really weird. I should probably go check on them. So this neighbor went over to their house and went to knock on the door and saw that the door was unlocked. They hadn't locked the door and it was open. So he just kind of let himself in to see if he could see what was going on, see if they needed help with anything or if anything was wrong. And when he went in, he got into the middle of the house, into where their courtyard was, and they had a big mesh screen on the ceiling. And 10 of the family members, 10 of the 11 family members were hanging. They were blindfolded. Their hands and feet, some of them, not all of them, hands and feet were bound with wire. They were tied with wire. And all of their mouths were taped, and they all had cotton stuffed in their ears. There were 5 stools around the room, so they had shared stools and just committed a mass suicide, is what it looked like. There were 2 men, 6 women, and 2 teens. They ranged in age from 15 to 57. And one of them was the 80-year-old grandmother, who wasn't hanging, but she was in the bedroom. Laying on the bed, she had been strangled. She was also blindfolded, hands bound, mouth taped, and the cotton in the ears. So the neighbor, understandably freaked out, ran outside, called the cops. The call went through at about 7:30. The cops came, and then it was a media circus. The street was packed neighbors from all over were super concerned. Everybody was thinking it was a murder because that's just bizarre to have 11 people all commit suicide at once. Like, that's unheard of. So there had to be some kind of foul play going on. So the cops start digging around and start trying to find evidence. It looked around the house like they had been doing some kind of ritual or something. So they, really got into digging through all of the things in the house and ended up finding the diaries, and we're reading through the diaries where they found a lot of instructions describing how, the grandmother needs to be on the bed because she can't stand, and it described the blindfolds and the wire to bind the hands and the feet. And there was a quote that said in the diary, "Everyone will tie their own hands, and when the ritual is over, then everyone will help untie each other's hands." So it seemed like they had this all planned out, but they believed that they weren't going to die, and this ritual was somehow supposed to, do something. Nobody's sure what, because that wasn't in the diaries. But it seems like it was just a big ritual that just went wrong. I don't know if they were thinking they were going to be brought back to life or if they thought that they weren't going to die at all. But it's a very sad story all around. They have some other family, the in-laws that were living away, that had no idea this was going on, and they have no idea how this happened. It was just some freak, weird, psychotic delusion they all got stuck in. And that brings us to the end of today's story. If you have any suggestions for future stories you would like me to cover, or if you have your own paranormal experiences or spooky stories, feel free to send them to me and I will share them in a later episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Spinster Stories.